because it's like the most amazing thing to experience. I mean, even it brings tears to my eyes just thinking about like the connection that can come through in that way. It did light up whenever that the whole 3 levels. It's got to be my favorite part, especially level 3. It's, nothing compares to a session with you.
Um, any number of things. Physical ailments. I would think of it, and especially if someone had tried other things and kind of came to a like they don't know what to do spot.
Life support when they're at the crossroads and it's kind of like, oh, I don't know where I'm going at all.
I don't like feeling stuck, feeling like you don't know like which direction you're going in. Just I feel like you can give a lot of clarity. It's just the whole plethora of everything is just makes it amazing.
Okay. Such an incredible, huge gift that you're able to share with others of just not only explaining like, yeah, your sister that's on the other side is here and here's what you're saying and it all lines up. And I mean, even the things that you've shared with me that like, how could you even know? Not that I don't still have moments where I have the gloomy cloud over my head. I'm still human, but I know how to process it now, and it's such a different world to live in when it's like, oh, wow, yeah, this is temporary. Yeah, maybe in this moment I'm sad or mad or whatever it is, but I know it's not going to be like lurking over me the whole day. It's some things, I'm not a superhuman, but I'm a more conscious being of how to, especially with anxiety alone. I feel like it's been night and day.
Sort of like I've been working on my trauma for a while before I had a session with you, and there's only so much that I can do, and sometimes you need somebody else.
The person I am today has so much to do with the work that we did together, and it's just such a huge grateful thing in my life that I think till the day I die will be so forever grateful for. So
method, there are really 4 perks, I call them. So it's PIRC. So it's the P is for perceiving, and that's in the beginning when I'm really working with clearing out everybody else's energy that's in your external energy field that you may have taken on. And then I do part of the perceiving is the 3-layered hand scan as well, where I look at what's happening on the physical layer, mental, emotional layer, and spiritual layer. And that's also perceiving, and that's also perceiving what may be going on with the energy around and within you, but it's also then starting to interpret it, because that's when we have sort of a conversation about what I'm finding, and now we're interpreting what it really means to you. Then we go on to the redirecting, where I'm working with the 10 energy zones, 5 on each side, and then those redirection points that are on the body, so that any stuck energy in any of those zones or any blockages are able to be worked through. And that's when I say, check out your left side. How does it feel compared to your right? That kind of thing. And then the clearing is during that process as well, where we're clearing out those zones, but then we're also starting to clear out what's happening within your energy centers in your body, where we have that grid that's placed on or near the midline of the body. And then we go into, that's the clearing. But then at the end, if we do core issue work, that's all about clearing. And then at the end, when we clear out your energy field, so what you released, you don't get triggered and take it back in, because it's what your default has been. So those are 4 of the major things that we do in a Dawn of Time energy rebalancing method session. Is there any that really speak to you? And if so, why?
Really hard to say, because I feel like they all go together. So definitely when you're scanning, like in the moment, and the scanning is the most beneficial. But then for the long-term benefits, definitely clearing out the blockages.
I'm thinking I want to say the redirecting, but it's really hard because I'm looking, I took notes while you were talking.
Yeah.
You know, getting the energies out, very important. Scanning and finding all kinds of things, very important. But then redirecting and shifting the energy is the important part. But I don't know if you can do that without doing the other two. um, but I'll stick with that. That's my final answer. Redirecting because that seems to be that's the action part of it or the movement part of it.
But if I bring it up to somebody, it's usually like an emotional thing that they're feeling, I guess, that you could that I can tell that could be released. Someone that has trauma, because there's somebody else that I said, well, you know, if you ever want to do work, you know, she has trauma, and it just, well, it filtrates through your life, right? So it shows you how your work, you know, and it comes up, and if you could work on that trauma, and it's
A lot of people that have trouble with healing from losing people, I feel like you're amazing with that aspect too. So
Definitely, spiritual stuff or, problems in their life, anything being stuck with stuff. Well, so spiritual, emotional, thinking process. And I think the stuckness covers a lot of different things too, just like
this way, but people that might be in a more like needing extra support, not that I want to call them lost, but that I can tell that they're struggling in a way that's like, oh no, we need the heavy duty how to guide and lead someone that is needing that type of life support when they're at the crossroads and it's kind of like, oh, I don't know where I'm going at all, that type of thing. Because I was there. And maybe that's why it can stand out to me, because I can see that reflection of myself. It's like, oh yes, I remember those days, not that I don't still have moments where I have the gloomy cloud over my head. I'm still human, but I know how to process it now, and it's such a different world to live in when it's like, oh wow, yeah, this is temporary. Yeah, maybe in this moment I'm sad or mad or whatever it is, but I know it's not going to be like lurking over me the whole day. It's some things, I'm not a superhuman, but I'm a more conscious being of how to, especially with anxiety alone. I feel like it's been night and day.
There are people who do come to me, and whatever happens to be in front of them is what we work on. And sometimes, as you know, things will come up that they didn't even really come to me for. So,
I love to be in person for sessions.
yes.
But your session was just as amazing when it was virtual, but I still love to be in person. So I'll come to South Carolina. No, but I have tried a couple other people, and even though they're very good at what they do, it's just, I don't feel I get the same out of it. I get wonderful things from them too, but I don't feel like I'm getting the whole of it like I do when I have sessions with you.
Like one of my favorite sessions to this day is when I came in and it was like, okay, I'm done feeling so heavy and doing all the work around my weight and my body image and feeling self-conscious and all that type of thing. And then after, and I know it had come up in other sessions, several times, but it was like that day I was finally ready to do something about it. And I've been different ever since. So it's just really, I don't know, it's so powerful. Such an amazing, amazing session that you offer to the world, Donna.
just, I saw another person before, and she just wasn't a heavy lifter, I guess, would come to term.
You've only had to prove like probably the first session of like, oh, here's this random fact. I'm like, oh my gosh, like mystified, but not only that, love the whole process of just the energy bounce. And when you ask like, okay, how is it on each side? Because it's such a strange and what I mean, I don't know if strange is the right word for it. It's such a, maybe mystical is more like it, because I feel all puffed up on one side, and then you do the other side. I'm like, okay, that levels out every single time. It's like such an interesting, like, oh, that side, that's what it feels like to be rebalanced, and then to feel that what it's like, oh, and that it all feels all dense over there, and then it's like almost like getting puffed up with light or something. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. I mean, really, it's the full experience, because I appreciate all aspects
I
of
feel
it.
like it's just so you're very clear, like when you're seeing things. Like for this past thing with my hip, I knew my hip felt off, and I didn't bring it up to you in the beginning because I knew you were probably going to find it. And I had just been to the chiropractor about my neck and my hips, and he had readjusted me, and I knew that I was adjusted, but it was still bothering me. And I knew if I went back, it wouldn't necessarily be fixed that way. And and you picked up on it and was able to shift it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes when the chiropractor's doing it, he's putting you back in place, but he's releasing energy at the same time. That's why you can breathe better, not just that he's realigned you, but
that sometimes people, might perceive this work as just, oh, it's out there. Oh, it's just this spiritual thing. Oh, it's this, oh, it's that. But it really gets right down into the physicality of our bodies that we have to live in every day.